everyone, I'm Misume and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be here for a while and I'm gonna talk to you about my life journey and who I am, what I'm doing here and what I'm trying to do, and what's my experiences that can help you to make your life a bit easier in your immigration process. So as I said, I'm Sume and I live in the UK. So I live in a small town close to London City, and I've been here for a couple of years now. And well, I'm an international person. I'm Persian, and I receive a lot of questions from my Persian friends, from my international friends around the world, that how I came to UK, what's like my journey through my life to reach to UK and find a job here. So I'm going to tell you about my life choices, that what kind of decisions I made in my life to be here at this moment in 2024. And during my immigration process, I really needed someone to answer my questions, to make the whole process a bit easier for me, because as you know, or maybe you don't know, and you are just interested in this process, it's gonna be very complicated, and you're gonna need to have someone to ask your questions, to ask about the procedures of immigration, the documents, and the experience of living in that country. I don't know, from weather, from people, culture, to actually finding a job in that specific place. So all I'm trying to do is to make this process a bit easier for you, and I'm really trying to do my job here because I feel like it can be really helpful to provide some information in this regard. So I'm gonna start by explaining the ways that you can enter this country, like the different kind of visas that you can get in order to enter to this country. So generally there are a couple of ways, a couple of visa types that you can get in order to enter UK. Like UK includes England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and also Wales. So there are different ways that you can enter this country, and the most important and the most popular one is with work permit. So and I am also on this kind of visa at the moment. So the first one that I'm gonna explain more is the skilled worker visa, which is a type of visa that you find a job, either you are inside UK or you are outside UK, and you find a company, a workplace that they sponsor you for your visa, and you enter the country in order to be able to work for them. So the specific company is sponsoring you, and they provide some kind of sponsorship letter for you, and you present that letter to the home office, which is the place that issues your visa, and actually you get a skilled worker visa. The duration of that visa depends on your contract that you get from workplace. It can be 1 year, it can be 2 years, 3 years. It depends on your contract and the needs that that company have about you and about having you. For example, mine is on 3-year contract, so I get a visa for a 3-year duration. And after that you can extend your visa. So the company, obviously if you have worked for the company for 3 years, they are more likely interested to keep you in there, so they're gonna extend their sponsorship, and with that extension you can extend your visa and you can stay there for 2 more years, and after 5 years of working you can apply for a permanent residence, and you can stay in that country with a permanent residence. And 1 year after getting your permanent residence, you can apply for a passport. So you're gonna be a citizen if you get your passport, which is like the best option that you can have as an immigrant. The next type of visa that I'm gonna explain is another type of work visa, but the name is global talent. So this kind of visa, in this type, also a company or a university is sponsoring you, so you are gonna work for them. But the difference between global talent visa and skilled worker visa is that not all of the projects that are happening in companies or in universities fall under global talent visa. So it really depends on the project that you are gonna work for, like the type of project. If your project and your funding is coming from a global talent, you're gonna get a global talent visa. So it's really up to the type of project that you have been accepted for. So the process is more or less the same for global talent visa, but because the project type accepts that the person who is working for the project can be a global talent, they're gonna give you a global talent visa. The good point about global talent visa in compared to skilled worker visa is that in global talent, after 3 years, you can apply for this permanent residence. So the duration for your work in order to get the permanent residence and in order to be eligible for application for permanent residence is 3 years, which is 2 years less than a skilled worker visa. So it's kind of faster in this route to get a permanent residence. Regarding being a citizen and getting a passport, a British passport, you are still required to be in UK for at least 5 years, and then you can apply for the British passport. So even in this case that you are on global talent visa and you get your permanent residence after 3 years, you should stay for 2 more years and then you are eligible to apply for a passport to become a citizen. So you are required to live in UK for at least 5 years in order to be eligible to apply for a British passport. The next type of visa that I'm going to explain, which is very common actually, is a student visa. And I'm sure a lot of you are interested in this kind of visa because it's much easier to get a position in a university to work as to study a master's or to be a PhD student rather than finding a job in a company, obviously. So it's much easier, and lots of students are interested in this path because you are entering the company, you are entering the country, and you are also continuing your courses and you are getting a degree at the end, right? So it's very optimal, I would say. So as we may know, the master's degree is the master's courses in UK are for only 1 year. So you study for 1 year, you have a couple of courses, you have a thesis at the end, and you get a master's degree. The PhD courses are usually between 3 years to 4 years, so it depends on the course that you have. And after 3 years or 4 years of research and depending on the course, you can have some courses, you can have some research or laboratory, and you get a PhD degree at the end. In order to get a permanent residence with studying the PhD, unfortunately the studying years, because you don't pay taxes as a student, doesn't count as your years of tax payment, so it doesn't count as your permanent residence years. So it means that you have to work for at least 5 years after finishing your studies and after getting your degree in order to be eligible for a permanent residence. So if you study for 1 year in your master's, after that you should have a job for 5 years in order to get a permanent residence. Or if you have studied PhD for 4 years, you should have a job for 5 years after that in order to be eligible for permanent residence. So obviously it takes longer to get a permanent residence and to get a passport in UK if you enter with a student visa. It is easier to enter, but it is more difficult to get a permanent residence and consequently a passport at the end. But it's a very nice route actually, lots of students do that. So because when you enter the country with student visa and you finish your studies, for example you finish your master's after 1 year, you are eligible to apply for a graduate visa because you are a graduate in that country. So you apply for a visa in that country, you pay obviously some fees and some insurance fees for the visa process to get a graduate visa. I will explain more in the next videos about the costs of changing your visa, but you are eligible for graduate visa, so you can apply for it and you can look for a job you have a specific period of time to find a job, so you are able to stay until you find that job, and then you jump onto the work visa, which can be skilled worker or it can be global talent. So it's like a very good opportunity to enter the country and to gain some time, you know, to look for that job, and you know, in order to be able to stay in that country permanently. So actually these are three different types of visa that you can enter the country. There are other types of visa as well. For example, one of them is dependent visa. So obviously if your partner, your husband, your wife, your spouse is coming to the country, you can bring your spouse and your children with you with your dependent visa. uh, at the moment the dependent visa has become a bit difficult, and it is like absolutely depends on the condition of the main person. For example, I know that from this year master students cannot bring any dependents with them because they are not eligible to bring any dependents. At the moment PhD students can bring dependents with them. The skilled worker and global talent holders can bring their dependents. Obviously there is costs, that all of the costs should be paid for dependent people as well. I'm going to explain more in the next videos about the costs of different type of visas, and but it's possible to enter the country as a dependent and look for a job or become a student with a dependent visa. So if you enter the country with your partner and you are there as a dependent person, you can still look for a job, and depending on the type of dependencies that you have, you can apply for different type of part-time, full-time jobs or become a student. So it's a very good condition for families who, in which like one person is eligible to enter country with one of these visas and the rest of the family can, I mean like only spouses and children can enter the country with them with this kind of dependent condition. I really hope this helps. I'm gonna explain more in next videos regarding how to find a sponsor, how to find a job, what kind of projects are global talent projects, and also about the costs of different types of visa. I'm gonna explain a detailed description of all of these visa in the next videos, but I don't want to make this video super long and I don't want to make it boring. So I hope it helps. Follow me for more, and see you in the next videos. Bye.